In the dim glow of a dusty Texas sunset, a young widow stood alone on the side of a forgotten highway, her suitcase clutched like a lifeline, tears carving silent paths down her cheeks as she whispered to the empty wind, "I'm lost, completely lost." That's when a rugged millionaire cowboy pulled up in his weathered truck, his eyes kind beneath the brim of his hat, and said softly, "Then follow me home." Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Western Tales of Frontier, and leave a like and comment if this story touches your heart. Emma had never imagined her life unraveling like this. At 32, she was supposed to be building a future, not burying one. Her husband, Tom, had been her anchor, a simple ranch hand with a laugh that could chase away storms. But cancer didn't care about plans. It took him fast, leaving her with a mountain of medical bills, a foreclosed home, and a heart shattered into pieces too small to mend. She'd sold everything she could, packed what little remained into that old suitcase, and hitched rides westward, chasing whispers of a fresh start in the vast openness of the frontier. But now, miles from anywhere, with the last bus long gone and her phone dead, the weight of it all crashed down. She wasn't just lost on a map, she was lost in her soul, adrift in a sea of grief and uncertainty. The truck's engine rumbled to a stop, kicking up a swirl of red dirt that danced in the fading light. The door creaked open, and out stepped a man who looked like he'd stepped from the pages of an old Western novel. Tall, broad-shouldered, with calloused hands that spoke of hard work despite the wealth rumors said he possessed. His name was Jack Harlan, though she didn't know that yet. He owned half the cattle ranches in the county, a self-made millionaire who'd turned barren land into an empire. But money hadn't hardened him, if anything, it had taught him the value of what couldn't be bought. "You all right, ma'am?" His voice was deep, steady, like the roll of thunder over the plains. He tipped his hat, revealing eyes the color of aged whiskey, warm and searching. Emma wiped her face quickly, embarrassed by her vulnerability. I missed my ride, heading to Amarillo, but I guess I'm stranded." Her words came out shaky, barely above a whisper. Jack glanced at the empty road stretching into the horizon. Night was falling fast, and out here, it brought coyotes and colder winds. "Ain't no buses this way till morning. My ranch is just a few miles up. You can wait there, get a hot meal, charge your phone. No strings." She hesitated, her mind racing with the warnings she'd heard all her life. Don't trust strangers, especially not out in the middle of nowhere. But something in his gaze felt safe, like a harbor in a storm. "Why would you help me? You don't even know me." He smiled faintly, lines crinkling around his eyes. "Because I've been lost too. And someone once pulled me out of it. Come on, let's get you out of this chill." Reluctantly, she climbed into the truck, the leather seats warm from the day's sun. As they drove, the silence wasn't awkward, it was companionable, broken only by the hum of tires on gravel. Jack didn't pry, but when she finally spoke, sharing bits of her story in halting sentences, he listened. Really listened, without judgment or interruption. The ranch appeared like a mirage, sprawling acres of green pastures dotted with grazing cattle, a grand but unpretentious house with a wraparound porch lit by soft lanterns. It smelled of hay and fresh earth, a world away from the sterile hospital rooms that had defined her last year. Inside, the kitchen was cozy, with a wooden table scarred from years of family meals. Jack's housekeeper, Maria, a kind-eyed woman in her 50s, bustled in with a pot of chili and cornbread that made Emma's stomach rumble. "Eat up, dear," Maria said, patting her hand. "You look like you could use some strength." As Emma ate, the warmth seeped into her bones, thawing the numbness she'd carried for months. Jack sat across from her, nursing a coffee, and for the first time in forever, she felt seen. Not as a widow or a burden, but as a person. He shared his own story then, unprompted, like he knew she needed to hear it. He'd lost his wife young too, to a car accident on these very roads. The grief had nearly destroyed him, drowning in work, pushing everyone away, until one day a stranded traveler, much like her, showed up at his gate. Helping that man had been the spark that pulled him back from the edge. "Kindness ain't about what you get back," he said quietly. "It's about remembering we're all just trying to find our way." That night, Emma slept in a guest room with quilts that smelled of lavender, dreaming not of loss, but of possibility. The next morning, over breakfast, Jack offered more than a ride. "Stay a bit," he said. "Maria could use help in the garden, and I've got odd jobs around the ranch. Pays fair, and it'll give you time to figure things out." She wanted to refuse, pride whispered that she shouldn't accept charity, but compassion in his offer felt genuine, not pitying. So she stayed. Days turned to weeks, and the ranch became a balm for her wounded heart. She weeded flower beds with Maria, who shared stories of her own hardships as a single mother, forging a bond like sisters. She mended fences alongside Jack's ranch hands, learning to ride horses and feeling the wind whip away her sorrows. And with Jack, conversations flowed easy under starlit skies, about dreams deferred and lives rebuilt. One evening, as they watched the sun dip low, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Emma opened up fully. "I feel guilty sometimes, for starting to heal. Like I'm betraying Tom." Jack nodded, his hand resting lightly on the porch rail. "Grief's a tricky beast. It don't mean you forget him, it means you're honoring him by living. My Sarah, she'd have wanted me to keep going, not wallow. Same for your Tom, I bet." Tears came then, but they were cleansing, not drowning. In that moment, an unexpected connection bloomed, not romance, not yet, but a deep, human tether that reminded her she wasn't alone. As weeks became months, Emma found purpose. She started a small herb garden, selling bundles at the local market, her entrepreneurial spirit reigniting. Jack encouraged her, even investing a little to help her expand. But more than money, it was his belief in her that rebuilt her confidence. He introduced her to the community, folks who'd faced their own trials, from droughts to personal losses, and she saw how kindness rippled outward. One act from Jack had saved her, and now she paid it forward, volunteering at the town shelter, helping others who were lost. There were challenges, of course. Doubts crept in during quiet nights, whispers of, "What if I fail again?" And Jack had his demons too, nights when memories of his wife hit hard, making him withdraw. But they leaned on each other, offering quiet support, a shared understanding that mended cracks in their souls. One crisp autumn day, nearly a year after that fateful highway meeting, Emma stood in the ranch's meadow, watching calves frolic. Jack approached, hat in hand, a rare nervousness in his step. "Emma, I've been thinking, this place, it's better with you here. Not just the work, but you. You've brought light back into my life." She turned, heart swelling. "And you've given me a home when I had none. Not just walls, but hope." They didn't rush into anything grand, life had taught them patience. But in that embrace, under the wide Texas sky, a new chapter began, one of redemption through compassion, where two broken hearts found wholeness in unexpected connection. Looking back, Emma often reflected on that whispered confession by the road. Being lost wasn't the end, it was an invitation for kindness to step in. Jack's simple words, "Then follow me home," hadn't just offered shelter, they'd sparked a chain of healing that touched everyone around them. Maria found joy in mentoring Emma, the ranch hands learned empathy from her stories, and the community grew stronger through their shared acts of grace. In the end, it's those quiet moments of humanity that change us. A stranger's hand extended in the dark, a listening ear when the world feels deaf. Emma and Jack's story reminds us, no one is truly lost if we're willing to guide each other home. And in a world that can feel so vast and unforgiving, that's the greatest legacy, ripples of kindness that turn into legends of the heart.